Jedi Fallen Order is a game that I can preface by saying it's the best Star Wars game that originally released on the PS4. Because as far as I know, that only includes like the two Battlefront games, because everything else was a release from other better consoles. Like Super Star Wars, to pick an example entirely at random. And it's fine. It's pretty mediocre in bits and good in parts, all balancing out to be fine. I've went back to one of the starting planets to try and avoid any spoilers. I apologise in advance if someone talks to me over the comm and spoils something. This is a post-game save. After you beat the game, it drops you back in the world so you can continue exploring for items. So, you can see in the top left-hand corner, I've explored 88% of this planet. I found 27 of 43 chests and 10 of 14 secrets. The map basically works like a Tomb Raider map, because the game feels like a Tomb Raider game. You explore down corridors, you come to a slightly open area, and then you find some things that you can't open with the abilities you currently have. Fighting stormtroopers, that's good fun. You gotta get your timing down, or else they'll shoot you. Being able to parry shots at them is really fun. So yeah, you basically walk down some corridors, you fight some bad guys. There's occasionally things you can find by climbing on stuff. The main problem with the exploration is that the optional stuff is not in any way really useful.
I've really stepped it up. Are you and Grease safe?
You worry about the mission. I'll worry about keeping us off their radar. We'll be fine.
Cool. Yeah, pretty much everything you find is cosmetics. Like, I have got so many different ponchos. So many. And they're all horribly ugly, and I don't wear any of them because the basic jacket is just fine. At least I got some nice colours for my jacket, was something. But yeah, it's cosmetics for you, for your droid, for your ship, which you basically just see in cutscenes once in a while, and for your lightsaber, which you can see in the back of me. It's not exactly a very distinct design. Like, the most distinctive part is the colour, and due to storyline related stuff, you don't really get many colour options until practically the end of the game.
That stormtrooper, he's dead! Come on and fight us! Okay, I got this.
The worst part is that, like I say, combat against troopers is pretty fun. But often the game doesn't give you many troopers to fight. It makes you fight space rats and space goats and space frogs, all of whom are remarkably resilient to lightsabers for some reason. Like, there's some space goats you'll fight in a couple of the planets that will take a good 8 to 10 swings to kill. Oh, and of course they can kill you in like 3 or 4 hits, or they can knock you off the ledges to hurt you really, really badly. You know, it wants to be like Dark Souls, where everything can murder you really easily. I'm trying to think of anything else exciting to say about it. It's just very much this. You walk along, you do some light platforming, you get into fights. You try to preserve your health as best you can because you have a limited number of heals. As you progress, you unlock some new abilities that give you new things you can do in combat, such as knocking people over or slowing them down so you can dodge their hits easier. Which of course I don't much to fucking do, because talking during a review is really difficult. It's really weird that there's no dismemberment for people, because there is dismemberment for animals. I might have to find a location filled with people to try and show off some of the fun gameplay, as opposed to just the hitting rats that run away from you gameplay. And that's pretty much the game for about 18 hours. And I found I had an average completion percentage on each of the planets of 94%. So it's not like I just beelined through the game trying to get to the end of it. It's fine. It's just not worth 70 quid. There's a lot of problems with textures not loading in properly, with graphical glitches, with problems with the jumping feeling loose and imprecise. Sometimes you'll just straight up miss a jump that you're sure you're going to make, fall down, lose some health. A lot of the parkour sequences don't really work that well because the platforming feels off and fuzzy. You might have to do them a couple of times, which takes a lot of the dynamism out of it. Like, it doesn't feel good having to redo that stuff. There are enemy attacks that cannot be parried, which I haven't managed to find any enemies that actually do that here. But they'll go red when you do that, which is your sign to, you know, hit the circle button and dodge out of the way. Except that there's also a bunch of attacks enemies will do, including most of the bosses, that don't make them go red, but you still can't parry them, which is frustrating. One of the later boss fights has possibly the worst camera I've experienced in a video game this year, where you're frequently just swinging at something that's invisible and trying to dodge attacks from something you can't see because the lock-on keeps breaking. Actual lightsaber fights against people with lightsabers are really fun. They're easily the highlight of the whole game. Like, each of the boss fights where you get to actually have a lightsaber fight are fantastic. It's just the rest of it in between is just, mediocre. I mean, like, this large area we went to in a pretty linear fashion. Like, you can double back and you can explore for things around in the area, and you can find chests, but the chests you have stuff like, hey, have a new skin for your droid, who's probably the best character in the entire game. Or they have stuff like a different emitter or a part for your lightsaber that you barely notice because you don't really see any of it. Like, it's a very small thing on your character in the background for most of it. It just doesn't scratch that exploration itch like other better games of this kind of style do. Like, heck, even Tomb Raider, you'd be getting resources to be able to upgrade your character. There's a skill tree in this, but it doesn't really feel like there's anything particularly interesting to unlock in it. Like, I'm going to try and avoid, again, hovering over anything that's a spoiler, but like, it takes you 2/3 of the game to learn how to throw your lightsaber at people, for instance. Most of the upgrades tend to be things like you get more health from your stim canisters, you have more max health, you deflect things when you're sprinting, you get some overhead attacks, you know, it's stuff like that. It's just... I was never excited to see the word skill point earned pop up on the screen, because I was mostly just looking over the menu going like, I guess I'll get more health, I suppose. The one useful thing you can find from exploring is your Estus flasks, because you can only heal yourself like 7 times between checkpoints, or 8 times, depending on how many you find over the course of the game. And most of them are hidden at the end of relatively interesting dungeons, like crashed ships or sunken tombs, again, copying the Tomb Raider style. But there's just nothing really here to recommend. It's perfectly functional, it works. Combat can range from fine to but it's never bad. It's just not going to set the world on fire either. Definitely not worth 70 quid. There's also very little replay value to it because, again, there's nothing really to do differently, no choices to make, nothing to explore that you wouldn't want to do on the end of your post-game file if you want to go for trophies, no different weapon styles to try, no character creation. It's a one and done. So I'd say if you paid about 20 quid for that, you'd have a good time with it. Or if you just borrow it from a friend, like, take it for a week or two, you'd have it finished. You'd have an alright time. But I can't really think of any reason I'd recommend for you to actually buy it. Not now.